Canada, land of boundless forests, land of crystalline lakes, land of northern lights and eternal ice. A polar bear walks silently on the ice shelf. An endless expanse of conifers vanishes at the horizon. Frozen lakes gleaming under the gentle morning light. Welcome to Canada. Welcome to the second largest nation on the planet. Known as the land of maple, this is a place of extreme contrast, where temperatures fluctuate between minus 81 degrees and plus 120 degrees Fahrenheit, where wild nature reigns supreme over immense and sparsely populated territories. But let's start from the beginning. Canada extends north of the United States, second only to Russia in territorial vastness. Yet despite its colossal dimensions, its population density is among the lowest in the world, with much of the territory covered by forests, lakes, tundra, and untouched mountains. This land of giants is embraced by three oceans, with the Atlantic to the east, the Pacific to the west, and the Arctic to the north. It is not surprising, therefore, that Canada boasts the longest coastline in the world, with a shoreline that winds for over 202,000 kilometers, drawing bays, fjords, and inlets of extraordinary beauty. Right along the Atlantic coast between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, the Bay of Fundy offers a unique natural spectacle. Here, the highest tides on Earth occur, with differences in level that can exceed 16 meters, radically transforming the landscape twice a day. Moving into the heart of the nation, however, the landscape completely transforms. The central regions are dominated by immense agricultural plains, so vast and flat that it is said one can see a neighbor's dog run away for 3 days. These boundless prairies testify to the generosity of a land that nourishes not only its inhabitants, but much of the world. Continuing, moving northward, the plains give way to boreal forests and then to the Arctic tundra. Canada indeed extends to the Arctic Circle. It includes icy territories like Nunavut, where icebergs, polar bears, and the phenomenon of the midnight sun can be found, when our star refuses to set during the Arctic summer. It is in these northern regions that the night sky often lights up with one of nature's most magical spectacles, the Northern Lights. The dancing lights transform darkness into a mix of green, blue, and purple, making Canada one of the best places in the world to admire this celestial phenomenon. Another surprising face of this nation we find in Manitoba, specifically in the small town of Churchill. Here, polar bears roam freely through the streets, making this place one of the few in the world where humans and these predators share the same spaces. And it is precisely during autumn that Churchill becomes a privileged destination for those who wish to observe these magnificent animals up close. Continuing, water is a fundamental element in the Canadian landscape. This nation hosts about 60% of the world's lakes, including the famous Great Lakes, shared with the United States. From small mirrors of water hidden in forests to lake expanses that seem like inland seas, Canada is a freshwater paradise that has no equal on the planet. But Canada is not only wild nature and infinite spaces, it is also a cultural mosaic of extraordinary complexity. Officially bilingual, with English and French spoken throughout the territory, this nation stands out as one of the most multicultural countries on the planet. In Toronto, over 140 different languages are spoken, transforming this metropolis into one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world. Nature is not just a backdrop in this land, but an integral part of the national identity. In fact, among the most recognizable icons of this nation is the maple leaf, a symbol that proudly stands on the national flag. It is no coincidence that 75% of the world's maple syrup production comes from this land, especially from the Quebec region, where this sweet tradition is passed down from generation to generation, celebrating an ancestral bond with the forests that cover much of the territory. Canada, therefore, is much more than a simple nation. It is a place that continues to tell its vastness, its resilience, and its harmony to anyone who visits it. But now let's discover the most incredible and iconic places of this nation. Banff National Park. Imagine an alpine realm where mountains rise like guardians, with their snow-capped peaks reflecting in turquoise lakes. Banff, Canada's first national park established in 1885, is exactly this, a wild sanctuary where fauna moves freely between glacial valleys and coniferous forests. You can breathe the crisp air while exploring Lake Moraine, whose waters change hues following the rhythm of the seasons. Here, among rushing waterfalls and steaming hot springs, nature reveals its purest essence in a territory that extends over 6,600 square kilometers. At dawn, when the fog rises over Lake Louise, you can witness a spectacle that no photograph can truly capture, with silence becoming tangible, broken only by the call of an elk in the distance. Moreover, on the Bow Valley Parkway, bison graze undisturbed, witnesses to the history of these lands, which the native Stoney Nakoda considers sacred. There is also the Icefield Parkway, considered one of the most spectacular scenic roads in the world, winding among glaciers and majestic peaks, offering almost surreal views. In this natural paradise, finally, the grizzly bear still reigns supreme, a symbol of a wilderness that resists the passage of time. Vancouver. Vancouver pulses between the ocean and the mountains, and is a metropolis where glass skyscrapers are reflected in the waters of the Pacific. The third largest city in Canada, it is a melting pot of cultures, with over 200 different ethnicities that have created a unique urban mosaic. The mild climate, a rarity for Canada, allows cherry trees to bloom as early as February, transforming entire streets into pink corridors, which attract photographers from every corner of the planet. But can such a lively metropolis be intimately connected with nature? Certainly, and Stanley Park is the most evident proof. 400 hectares of temperate rainforest set in the urban center and surrounded by a waterfront of almost 9 kilometers, where cyclists and pedestrians share idyllic panoramas. You can also explore the totems that tell the stories of various Indigenous Canadian peoples, called First Nations, walking at Brockton Point along paths shaded by ancient sequoias. Furthermore, the hidden lakes in the park host great blue herons, fishing undisturbed, just steps away from city traffic. Returning to the city instead, in the Gastown district, gas lamps illuminate the stone streets, where the history of the first settlers meets the creative energy of a young and dynamic city. At sunset, the skyline lights up, with the North Shore Mountains turning pink. This is the magic of Vancouver, a perfect balance between wilderness and urban sophistication. Niagara Falls. The rumble grows with each step until it becomes a deafening roar that vibrates in your chest. Then suddenly, the majestic spectacle of Niagara Falls is revealed, where every second over 168,000 cubic meters of water plunge into an abyss of mist and rainbows. Have you ever wondered what it means to come face to face with the power of nature in its purest form? Navigating aboard the iconic Hornblower, you will feel the icy sprays on your skin, while the boat moves dangerously close to the wall of water. Suspended between two nations, these falls have inspired generations of dreamers and daredevils, some of whom have risked everything just to cross their turbulent waters. Today, strolling among the lush surrounding gardens or tasting a local wine, you can still perceive that strange primordial force, the one that for an instant makes us feel part of something infinitely greater. The magical nighttime atmosphere must also be remembered, with the falls transforming with the many colored lights that paint them. Quebec City. Walking the streets of Quebec City means traveling through time. The stone walls, unique in North America, embrace a historic center where 17th century French architecture tells 4 centuries of history. Among the alleys of Petit Champlain, one feels as if strolling in a living painting, while the Frontenac Castle dominates the horizon. Below it, along the Dufferin Terrace, street musicians entertain passers-by, enchanted by the view of the majestic St. Lawrence River. In winter, the city transforms into an enchanted landscape, with roofs and streets covered by a white mantle, while the soft lights of the lampposts illuminate the cobbled streets, creating a magical atmosphere that seems to come out of a story. Finally, the Victorian facades tell stories of a bygone era, while conversations in melodious French echo among the historic monuments, reminding that here beats the cultural heart of Quebec, where Europe and North America merge in an immense embrace. Toronto. The reflection of the CN Tower is mirrored on the skyscrapers near Lake Ontario, while over 180 different cultures create a unique urban mosaic in the world. This is Toronto. Walking through Graffiti Alley, multicolored urban art transforms walls into an open-air gallery, telling stories of rebellion and creativity. It is the most authentic face of this constantly evolving metropolis. The iconic Cinesphere, the world's first permanent IMAX dome, shines like a silver sphere on the waterfront, while High Park offers a green refuge of 400 acres. Moreover, from the majestic Jarvis Street Baptist Church, with its spires soaring toward the sky, to the grand building of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario at Queen's Park, Toronto tells its story through monuments that resist time and change. And look at it from the island off the coast. The skyline standing against the sky is like a modern artificial mountain. Who would have thought that this city, once called York and considered a frontier outpost, would become one of the most vibrant cultural and economic capitals of North America? Jasper National Park. In the heart of the Canadian Rocky Mountains, this national park is a wild universe where time flows to the rhythm of the stars. Indeed, here is the largest dark sky preserve in the world, and there are nights so dark that the Milky Way seems close enough to touch. From the depths of Lake Meline to the glaciers of the Columbia Icefield, this sanctuary of biodiversity hosts grizzly bears, wolves, and caribou, which have roamed freely for centuries. Moreover, the historic Icefields Parkway winds through valleys sculpted by ancient glaciers, offering views that change at every turn. At dawn, fog settles on the waters of Pyramid Lake, while Mount Edith Cavell watches silently over the valley. Here, far from the chaos of civilization, one rediscovers that primordial connection with nature that modern life often makes us forget. Gros-Morne National Park. An open-air geological laboratory where the bowels of the Earth have been pushed to the surface, revealing the epic collision of continents that occurred 485 million years ago. Gros-Morne is a living testimony to plate tectonic theory, with its eroded mountains that dive into deep fjords carved by glaciers. Here, among undulating peat bogs and boreal forests, silence is interrupted only by the cry of an eagle in flight. Furthermore, navigating in the emerald waters of Western Brook Pond and surrounded by 600-meter-high rock walls, one perceives one's infinitesimal presence in the immensity of geological time. On the park's trails, you can encounter majestic moose, red foxes, and a myriad of migratory birds, while coastal waters host whales and seals dancing among drifting icebergs. Montreal. jazz flowing from Victorian houses, lively chatter from cafes, bells resonating from the majestic Notre Dame Basilica, with its twin spires and golden interiors that leave one breathless. This is Montreal, a city with a bilingual symphony where French and English intertwine in daily conversations, while the old port comes alive with visitors strolling among historic buildings and contemporary art installations. The imposing City Hall, with its French architecture, watches over the square where the city's history continues to unfold daily. Instead, the biosphere, a sparkling geodesic sphere on Santa Helena Island, symbolizes the environmental commitment of a metropolis projected toward the future. In the distance, the dome of St. Joseph's Oratory dominates the skyline from the top of Mount Royal, attracting pilgrims and tourists with its grandeur and with its 283 steps, which invite reflection during the climb. Finally, memorial monuments scattered throughout the city tell the story of a nation forged between two cultures. Tofino. Clinging to the western end of Vancouver Island, it is where Canada ends and magic begins. This fishing village, transformed into a surfer's paradise, challenges the Pacific Ocean with quiet courage, while spectacular storms batter the coast during the winter months, attracting curious visitors from around the world. The true essence of Tofino emerges, however, walking along Chesterman Beach, where the morning fog creates a mystical veil over the figures of surfers challenging the perfect waves, regardless of the cold water. Furthermore, temperate rainforests with thousand-year-old cedars surround this outpost of civilization, creating a hypnotic contrast between the blue of the ocean and the intense green of the trees. Here, the wild landscape constantly changes with the tides, revealing stretches of coastline rich with marine life, while eagles soar over the jagged cliffs, giving life to a place where untouched nature reigns supreme in all its majestic beauty. Ottawa. Elegant and discreet, Ottawa stretches along the banks of the river of the same name, a capital that perfectly balances institutional solemnity and cultural vibrancy. The Parliament, with its neo-Gothic architecture and the Peace Tower soaring toward the sky, represents the beating heart of Canadian democracy. But what story does this city hide beyond its government buildings? In winter, the Rideau Canal transforms into the world's largest natural skating rink, an icy ribbon almost 8 kilometers long, where residents and visitors skate among historic bridges and snow-covered parks. At sunset, golden rays illuminate the Fairmont Chateau Laurier, a hotel that seems to have stepped out of a European fairy tale, while national museums house treasures that tell the complex identity of a young country, but with ancient roots. Ottawa whispers, does not shout, but those who know how to listen discover a surprisingly fascinating capital,